So hello and welcome to another coffee and conversation. Want to talk about something very pressing in the Newark community. This morning we woke up to, for those of you who were paying attention to last evening's news, an officer, right? And a young officer, one that I actually believe was my student, which I have to, and I remember his face. But be that as it may, we have a huge situation that's going on. If you live in Newark, you already know and understand that we have had a lot of divide between the regular common folk of Newark and the leadership. As you look across the nation, you continuously see that there's a clear divide between the leadership, even in places like Chicago and beyond, a divide between the leadership and the actual constituents of that said community. In Chicago, you see the people going up against the mayor and, just having a lot of issues. Those same things play out in Newark, but there's a difference, right? Because whereas we had the biggest activists, right, in probably the tri-state area, actually be able to organize and to get into office through that organization, under the slogan of "When I become mayor, you become mayor." We saw the people immediately ditched, and by the next term, the people weren't really involved as much as they were, at least in the first election. We saw the numbers go down in terms of voting, and we saw higher government, get involved in terms of supporting the now mayor that is also now running for governor. And we've seen him slowly but surely just push away and ostracize good, hardworking people in the community, people who had programs for years, who really wanted to make a difference. We had a democracy in the city of Newark that right now currently don't exist. We have a dictatorship that's going on. All of those people have either been displaced, pushed to the side. Some of them actually have succumbed to stress and or death, because of the great love and passion that they had for their city, and they saw that they were pushed out. And I'm talking about even the former mayor, was pushed out of just being a part of what was going on in the city of Newark. And as we watched a lot of crime and corruption unfold, and as many of us tried to fight back, we just kept getting knocked down, one by one, knocked down, because it's always so very difficult to organize, because they take your job. And for anybody who's paying attention, my job has been taken again and again and again and again, to the tune of about 7 times now. But still, I stay in this fight because I believe it is a mission that is a spiritual one that needs to be had. And so I'm here. And so there are others who are here for that same purpose. But at the end of the day, people are pushing different political leadership that does not necessarily cater to the people, but more leadership that is going to the predatory leadership, right? I'm sorry, somebody had rung my phone again. That is going to cater to the predatory development that's taking place, and we don't need that. We don't need that to continue. Anybody who is 70 years old and older, those people should be trying to lend their expertise and wisdom to other candidates that are considering running, that have the resume that for running, and who are active in the community. You just can't become inactive in a community that is so needy, right? Needy on every front, needy for every situation that's going on, and just pop back up when it's time to run for election. That's not how it should be ideally done, and that's not how we want it done. So in moving forward, we're going to request that we have candidates that honestly care about the city of Newark, and people who won't be compromised, that can be unbought and unsold. And we do that by making sure that the community becomes more involved and more active in who we have for leadership. Meaning, you guys are going to have to come up off some money and stop, waiting for the some lords who buy up all of our property. And my phone keeps ringing. I'm sorry, guys. To represent and choose who it is that you want to be a part of your community. You cannot have
in leadership. You cannot have leadership that's bought and paid for by somebody that doesn't live in your community, or somebody who does not share the common interests of the community. No, you have to have your own. You have to have your own, because as long as we don't have any political power or any political say-so or cachet at all, we're going to keep getting more of the same people who just get in there. And no matter what they want, if somebody else is paying and financing your political, apparatus in your community, then nothing's going to change. So we have to change that, and that means contributing regularly. I don't care if it's $2, if it's $3, if it's 50 cents a week, if it's $5, whatever you can afford. There's no way that we should have 14-year-olds shooting cops, and the messaging is just all wrong. Because see, when they take our jobs and they back us off from doing the work that needs to be done by good, upstanding citizens in the community, right? Our voice becomes silent, and so that our children only get to see and hear the people who are on the ground, the people who may have felonies, the people who may be still active in senseless violence that can go on in the community. I don't know if it's true, but some people have, alleged that this could have been some type of gang initiation. So why is it that we have funds earmarked to help Newark financing LLCs, right, that are run by people who have killed police officers, and then we feign ignorance and act like we're surprised when we hear about a 14-year-old actually killing an officer? There should be community outrage that is going on to the level of everybody should be out in the street. But unfortunately, like I said, we have these narratives that get perpetrated, right, that cause nothing but division. They perpetrate this division under the lines of racism, right? When crime isn't race specific, they push these divisions on a plethora of different types of strategies, because that's what they are. That's what they are. There should be no cops being killed by 14-year-olds. There should be no 14-year-olds that are running around carrying guns, And like I said, how do these guns enter the community? How do we have guns in our community in the hands of 14-year-olds? And mind you, these are the same youngsters who, according to documented test scores, are not even achieving on an academic basic skills level, right? But we have money, to house immigrants. We have money to build new jails in Newark. We have money to have ICE headquarters in Newark, another one, and these things should not be happening. But we do have a voice. Now, it's up to us whether or not we choose to use that voice. It's up to us to use our voice to choose gubernatorial candidates that are going to listen to us and be our voice as well, because they need our votes to get in. Now, it's also come to my knowledge that our current Newark mayor that is running for governor was just seen at a fundraiser for a gubernatorial candidate by the name of Jack Sheila. So if that's true, you got to ask yourself, why is it that a gubernatorial candidate such as Ras Baraka would be at a fundraiser for another gubernatorial candidate that is Republican at that? Probably because this guy is slated to, be the winner. So, if you look at that, right, you could safely infer that perhaps, right, and not, but perhaps he could be there to negotiate a deal for himself to get in a good position for himself after the election, if and when he does not become governor of the state of New Jersey. So if that's the case, where does that leave us? Because right now, our mayor of the city of Newark is no longer a resident in the city of Newark. So what can we do as residents? We can use the power of our vote, first of all, to make sure that we're registered, to make sure that anyone who has come home from doing a bid, and has come home from incarceration, if you have finished your time and you have finished your debt to society, you need to know that you are able to register to vote and be a part of the voting constituency that exists in our city, because we need you. We need men with common sense. being active in what's going on. And I know it may look like there's a lot of corruption, and I know it may look like a lot of people don't want to get involved, with the process, because you feel like the process is faulty, and it is. But we have to work together to make sure that we're making the best of a bad situation. And by doing that, that does not mean checking out of the process that exists. It means getting involved now more than ever. We need school board candidates that are slated to run. I am going to endorse a school board candidate because it's only one that I know of that is going to be fair and just to students, and she actually cares. She's been on the ground since for as long as I can remember fighting for education, as a candidate myself, and as an educator, a lifelong educator here in this city of Newark. And those are the people that we need, not the people that we want, but the people that we need that don't necessarily get the financial funding. But we don't need the funding necessarily, but don't get it messed up. We do need funding. There's marketing that needs to be done. There are billboards that cost money that need to be put up. You guys can be instrumental in helping to make that happen. And we need that type of camaraderie. So we want to support school board candidates that are going to be running, that are for the people, by the people. We don't want people to get in office because they just happen to be running, with a gubernatorial candidate, and we don't even know these people. We don't know if they live here or not. That is not the way that things are done. And people think that they can come here and do this to Newark, and we have to say no. And that needs to be illustrated and not just, and orchestrated and not just verbalized. You understand? So we have that. We have the actual gubernatorial election. And I don't want to tell anybody who to vote for. But my thing is that please be very critical in your thought. Look at who is running. Stop being overly concerned with, this person is this color, so I'm going to vote for this person. No, stop doing that. We have black faces that sit in position that can do nothing for us when we need help or we need a voice. And in fact, when we go to speak our minds at city council meetings, we have people literally looking back at us on the cell phone, not even being how can I say, not even being attentive, if you will, to our plight or to our concerns. And there are things that they can help with, but they don't feel like they have to because they feel like they'll be in the office regardless, because it's literally hundreds and thousands of people in the city of Newark who are not voting. There are literally over 320,000 people there not registered, but counted in with the censuses. Now, mind you, there are more people there that's not involved, right? That's not counted in the census. But be that as it may, you're having maybe 6,000 people to show up for school board election. Unacceptable. The schools and the entire education community gives birth to the citizenship that we have in any particular society. So right now, we must understand that by us neglecting what happens in our schools, we are neglecting what happens in our city, because any and all decisions that get made today are for the benefit of tomorrow, again, for our city. And when you say our city, you can't be a person that has complaints, see wrong done, but do nothing to help change it. And it takes the kind of fire, right, that we had with Obama. Right. And so it caught fire. The campaigns caught fire. Everybody came out. But everybody came out because they wanted to see a black president. They saw the black president. And when they didn't see anything change, people became discouraged and they got out of the fight. But you got to be mindful that this is a marathon. Right. It's not a sprint. It took us a long time to get to the situation that we're in now. That's really not conducive for anybody. And it's going to take us some time, right, to get out of this situation. And the way that we start to move, forward from that and not be a victim to any of those things, is to make sure that we work together to do what's right, to engage in the process of voting. But that process doesn't just call for us to vote. It calls for us to put coffee clutches together. It calls for us to identify candidates based on merit, based on their beliefs, not based on just their color. Because guess what? It is important to have people of color in position in a city that's predominantly a city of color, right? Because we want them to have our voice. But when we see parties working together in shadow government that we actually never really see, funding the campaigns of the people of color, and so that when they get in, we still don't have a voice, we still don't have any power, we still don't have people to effectively advocate for the things that we as a people in the city want and need. We have to come up with a different way to play this game. And the game don't stop. You got to respect the game. And you got to play, because if you're not playing at all, you're just part of the problem. So what I'm suggesting on today is that we get more involved than we ever been. And if you don't know why, get involved, because we have a 14-year-old that the school system has failed this person that that's now dead, from what I'm hearing. And I hope that that's not the case, but from what I'm hearing, all reports are lending itself to that the 14-year-old is deceased as well. There was a young cop again who was, is a fatality in this situation, which is horrendous. That's not ever something that we want to report on or to have happen, but nonetheless, that is what has occurred. And we have to stand up as a community. We have to stand up. We have to fight back. And the way that we do that, okay, so somebody said his parents should be charged too. So again, right, this is how we find ourselves in a situation in this quandary. And I'm going to tell you how. Because we blame the parents, but on too many occasions, the parents are also the product of a failed school system, right? And the school system is a product of a lot of the oppressive things that are put in place in the nation. And those things exist. And people will say, well, how can you support Trump? It's not about supporting Trump. It's about supporting whatever candidate that comes up that has the best interests of the community. But none of these candidates are ever going to have 100% of your interest if you're not 100% engaged. And that means, like I said, doing coffee clutches, doing help, volunteer work. The bus boycott wouldn't have been successful if people did not volunteer to participate in that process, because they understood the outcome of that, right? That today we can sit anywhere we want to on the bus. So we didn't finish the work. That was a work that was done, but the work still needs to be done. And many of us have rested on our laurels and have not been steadfast to pass that baton and keep the necessary work being done. But when you hear about 14-year-olds, right, shooting police officers, killing police officers being shot and killed, who are yesterday's students. Let's stop blaming the parents, right? Let's stop always, and I'm not saying that they don't have ensuring culpability, but this thing is way bigger than the parents that we're dealing with, because we see it on local level, we see it on a national level, and we're seeing this on an international level. Right now, there's something going on with, I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but please do, with South Africa coming into power, because Russia has, become allies with them, and they're kicking all of the white people who took their land out of South Africa. Well, I don't know if it's AI or not, but I saw some footage where Trump was saying that basically they want to go in and, tell South Africa that they don't have the right to kick people off their land and do anything with the land, because they don't legally, they can't do that. But there's another video that's out there where Trump is saying, oh, we don't need to ask for permission. We're going straight into Palestine, and we don't have to ask for the land. We're just going to take it. It's just rubble. You don't get to just take people's land. And if that is illegal in South Africa, why is that not illegal to do in Palestine? And we have to pay attention to the things that happen on an international level, because everything rolls downhill. All politics are local. And so if these illegal things are going on there, they're also going on here, or either have the strong potential to. So we can't just say, oh, the parents this and the parents that. We're still maybe 1 or 2 generations, and even having people to go to college. Meanwhile, they've been stopping us and having like different oppressive things happen to keep us from being educated. Just take Facebook alone. Very simple. The censorship. And we've seen people act like they didn't see, but you guys saw Kamala, speaking towards censorship, saying that we got to control what people are hearing. People are just saying anything on social media. Why can't we talk? And even me, a lot of my information gets shadow banned. I remember at a time being on social media and I would go live and it would immediately be like a couple of hundred people on. Now it's like 4 or 5 people when I go on. That's not by coincidence. It's because they really don't want us putting information out that's going to help grow us, help us to think more critically and to be involved in the process. They really want as little people possible is involved in the process. That's why it's so incumbent. If you want to blame the parents, blame yourself too, right? Because I'm not excusing them from culpability, but what I am saying is that those of us who know better, it's incumbent upon us to do better, to get the messaging out, to talk to people, to volunteer your time. And you don't have to be told what to do because you know what to do. We saw what to do when Obama ran because we saw a black face, but then lo and behold, respectfully, that wasn't even his real name. Yes, because I keep trying to share your life and it's your life and it's not allowing anyone to join. Yeah, it happens all the time. And that's not the only thing that happens. I want to be honest with you. They go inside my phone. They take information out of my phone that I put in. Like for those who know me, like I said, I lost my job several times. That's not a secret. But again, I'm not the only one that this is happening to. So we don't want to ever blame the victim. We are living in a society that's very oppressive, right? We're living in a society where sex trafficking is at an all-time high. We're living in a society where they're trying to make illegal immigrants the new slave laborers, right? We're living in a society where you could be white and go with a black man and sue him for half his salary because he played pro ball or something like that, and you weren't even married. You guys following that story? That is insane. Like, how can you just go with a person and y'all break up around a year, and now they feel like they're entitled to have your earnings? And guess what? It was true. The other person is entitled to have the earnings, but because the mother made a smart move, you guys look that story up. Everything was in the mother's name for the young man, the black young man, the African-American young man. Everything was in the mother's name. So the lawsuit turned into the young lady, who happens to be Caucasian, has to pay half of what she had, right, to the gentleman, right? And an ironic turn of events. But these are the types of things that happen when we see that the law is not really on our side. And at the end of the day, this is a corporation. This is in fact a business. They do operate on statutes and codes, and the rights that we have, we may as well not have them, because if we don't know about them, it's just metaphysical. You understand? Like, they really don't even exist. So you got to know your rights. You got to stay plugged in. And with that being said, tonight at 8, we're going to have another meeting where we talk about rights and how that can impact you. Only if I get inbox, because if people don't want to come, you can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink it. But all day, people are getting bamboozled out of money for tickets, bamboozled out of going to jail, wasting your life in jail when you don't have to be for different things. And there's just a lot of information that rights afford us that if we don't use them, then we just won't have access to, benefit from them. So this is something for you to think about. Like I said, if you want to come and be invited, inbox me. I'll definitely inbox you back, let you know where we're meeting. We're definitely meeting at a location in Newark. We'll talk about these things, and these things are very important for you to know. It's part of an ongoing conversation to take back Newark, to take back, what we need as people to just survive and have a regular quality of life, because right now that's not what we have. Somebody said that kid ain't from my tribe. Okay, family, I'm not sure what you're talking about. A black snake will bite you quicker than a white one. Yeah, no doubt. Like, and that's why I said, like, we can't move on, we just supporting somebody just by their skin color, because first of all, it's ignorant, right? And the definition of ignorant just means not knowing. I'm ignorant to a lot of math concepts, right? So it's not a bad thing. It just means you don't know. People don't know in math. They really don't understand politics, and it's layered and convoluted for a purpose, so that you don't understand. So when people see that they don't understand things, people like kind of rely on their hearts, and you rely on your intuition. But these people can sell water to a well, so they're very skilled at manipulating your thoughts and putting people up like what's her name, Jasmine Crockett, to get up here and act all hood and ghetto, because like that's what they think of us. And it's not to talk about her personally. She's just following her script. And I'm just following mine. It's just that my script came from God. And for real, We cannot keep moving how we're moving. And what we don't know, we got to figure out who knows. We got to support those people. And you start by coming to community meetings. You start by sending cash apps, because people need to do marketing. They need to do flyers. They need to get out the word. We can't get out the word on social media if social media is constantly being censored, constantly not allowing us. I tried to do an at everyone today. It wouldn't even allow for me to do it. A lot of times I try to go live and it'll say, okay, this live will be put up for 30 days. Why is my lives being put up for 30 days now? I don't know. But again, I don't question it anymore, because I understand that there are efforts always put against God's people, but ultimately we will win. We will continue to fight. And, sometimes the victory is not always in reaching the destination during this time, but it's in the journey, right? Embracing the journey, doing what we have to do to progress a people, and understanding that we can't blame each other. We cannot continue on thinking that we're going to have some level of progress when what we're actually doing is just the wrong thing. And what are the wrong things consist of? Let me be clear. Let me be really, really clear. The wrong things are supporting somebody only based on race. You need to know who these candidates are at every level. Even with the assembly people and congressional people, we need to know who they are. And when one person gets cheated in the election, everybody gets cheated. Case in point right now, and I'm going to just say this real quick. The Central Ward election is coming up. This is one election that is huge, because the young lady who got sent to Congress should not even be there, because she didn't have the petitions. She did not have the petitions. She shouldn't be there. So she's there speaking against what nationally people voted for a president. Nationally, they didn't want the illegal immigrants supported through their tax dollars, and she's there speaking to something else. So whose agenda is she following? Who made it so that she would be the one to go to Congress, and she's not speaking on our behalf? They say that, oh, well, she's the youngest member. Where are the youth that are supporting her? Not nowhere. And so now what they've done, now that we have so many seniors that succumb to COVID, now they're in our schools, no doubt giving money, incentives, little parties, little things that woo kids. But kids are not stupid. There's a lot of kids who are critical thinkers, right? And thankfully, they're going to be voting in the process for the first time. But there are a lot of people who don't know, and they have not taught civics. And especially social studies is not going to cover in a way that they understand the historic framework that will go into very effective voting and being a part of a voting process. And while I'm at it, the people who work together in organizations, because I see who's on my live, who do a disadvantage to black people and the progress that historically black people have brought to this fight, right, against oppression and for progression of a people, right, to attain political power and to be in seats where our voices can be heard, right? Bringing in Santa Claus bags, I'm going to say, of votes that are absentee ballots, right? Like, you think you're winning on one end because you're getting money, but all money is not good money. Just because you can go to the mall and buy Louis Vuitton or whatever name brand things you want to get, in the grand scheme of things, you got to understand, even Louis Vuitton was stolen from Africa. Those very prints were Gucci, and all of that stuff was stolen from Africa. So they use our young people against us, and many times, and they don't know it. They just think that they're doing the right thing and they're being a part of the process, political process, and they're helping to push black people. But if you're pushing black people who are being used or manipulated as a symbol, right? Just symbolism, that get in the seats and can do nothing to help balance the scales for the democracy that we truly need, then you're being a part of the problem. And it's okay if you was a part of the problem yesterday, but I need you to reconsider that when you are taking in absentee ballots that are cheating of the democracy, people know this and people are aware, and that's why there's so many people that are not participatory in the process. And this is not just Democrats, this is Republicans too. They're not voting either. If you look at the numbers in the suburban areas, that's in the nearby towns, they're not voting either, because people are very much discouraged and they feel disenfranchised about the unfairness of the electoral process. They feel very discouraged and disenchanted by the fact that they don't have a voice. People want a voice. Nobody really cares who wins if they felt like they had a free and fair elections. But these elections aren't free. They definitely aren't fair. People are not against a development in their community. Like, we don't want blight here, but we also don't want predatory development that is coming with the guise of affordable housing that nobody can afford. And ultimately it aids to have people displaced and to have people not have a place to live. And the irony about this all is that those very people are the people who they solicit the votes for to get in office, and then they get rid of them or give them no respect or no common decency because they happen to have gotten caught up in this game where they don't have a residence, they don't have a home. I know a very prominent person that called me last week and they wanted to see if they can have residency at my home. I wasn't able to do it, unfortunately. This is an entire family now, but because I wasn't able to do it, it's potentially, if they don't find somebody to help them, they're going to fall prey to this. So this is not just about politics. This is about us. This is about us as a community. It is about us as a people. But we can't just say we're just voting for people just because they're black. Because guess what? Like I said, at the end of the day, if people are black-faced, but they're operating under an agenda that's not the agenda of freedom, and I'm sorry, like, you just cannot be the mayor for the South Ward or for one ward. You have to care about all citizenry that exists here in the city of Newark. And that's just a fact. And so unless we understand that, and unless we understand that individually, and that's not to lay or place blame on any parents. Yeah, we want parents to do as good as they can do, but you got a lot of moms that are working 2-parent households, and the schools should take up the slack for that. You have legislators that they probably got in by 50 votes. They're trying to take away school lunches. And like I always say, a pound of intervention is worth, an ounce of intervention is worth a pound of cure. And we can't cure anything if we don't intervene when it comes to the schools. So we got a school board election coming up, and we need to talk about what those platforms are and who those people are. And there's no way that nobody should be getting out one vote if they don't live here. We need to talk about upcoming municipal elections. And if these people have not been active in the community in any way, if you're 70 and 80 years old and you were part of other predatory development issues that took place in Newark, no, we don't need you back on the board. No disrespect intended. We want to help and mentor the young people who not only can identify what the problems are, right, but can identify some solutions and understand how to implement a balance between policy and the people. Because we can't have people totally engulfed in the act of capitalism, right? Thinking it's all about money, but at the same time, not doing their due diligence and playing their role when it comes to humanitarianism. Or should I say humanism? I'm sorry, I think I misspoke. Humanism. Because see, sometimes if you're not careful, if you're too focused on capitalism, right? And many of our young people are. They're focused on getting the bag. But you got to understand, where are you taking your bag? To bigger homes and gardens, to the mall, to the labels of stores. And you know, those things are all good, right? But at the end of the day, charity starts at home. You got to make sure your community is good. You can't have... you can't be outside looking all clean and good, but your kids are dirty and your house is dirty. So I'm using that metaphor to kind of present an illustration to you that you can't be out here thinking, oh, I'm doing good and grand in the area of politics, and you know, I have these relationships. Who cares about your relationships if they're all being made with the devil? And when you got a situation, and I'm going to keep repeating these dynamic, tragic stats of 90% of the homelessness residing in the city of Newark for the entire county of Essex, and then it has the nerve to get raised by another 24%, and then we watch the mayor say how, oh, I got homelessness down, and then the next breath he's writing and penning letters for help with the homelessness situation. Like, which is it? We live here, we know what it is. And if ever you're in conflict of, well, I don't know what to do the right thing.
Do the right thing. Your intuition will tell you what's right from what's wrong. And you can't keep putting people in a place of leadership if those people are not helping the people. If you want to help yourself, go off into corporate. Get a job where you can help yourself. But don't find employment, right, in spaces of service. Because people need the support. There are hordes of people that are in homes, good people, families who are struggling to make it. Those dollars need to come to those homes, to those communities that are earmarked many times to come here, right, from the federal government. But, for whatever purposes, they don't get to where they need to get, right? They don't dwindle down to the schools, where we have $1.5 billion, right? And I think that has been upped, per the recent monies that have been sent for the upcoming year. But again, they're not trickling down. How do you get a $1.5 billion and the kids can't read or write? Right? Even they're going to jail, and it's being reported how the young people are not even able to go to the law library to study about their cases when they become incarcerated and they're innocent. They can't even read. So this is a problem that doesn't just impact one, it impacts all. And I think to be successful, it's time for us to put morals back on the front burner, right? It's time to put integrity back on the front runner. It's not that anybody thought by any stretch that voting for Trump was going to put us in a situation where now we're free and clear from racism. No one thought that. We know that we were going to have an uphill battle in terms of fighting and racism. We all knew that. But what the problem is, some of you felt like if we voted for Kamala, then racism is all going to subside. We're all going to be good to go. No, and no again. Okay? We have to be steadfast that we are doing the right things, that we're letting our voice be heard respectfully, and that we unite around solutions, not problems, not issues. But again, that we unite around morals, that we unite around integrity, right? Core values that cater to family, right? That's not what's going on right now. So again, if you're somebody who you're active in the community of people, whether this is the churches, community organizations, or anything that is working together and working against true democracy being had. And by democracy, also I can add in when you have mayoral forms and candidates that don't get had, that takes the ability for people to, properly vet who's running, then you're a part of the problem. So my thing is not to ever harp on problems, but once I present it, it is what it is. Consider it, right? Consider doing something else different. I'm definitely going to be putting in my run for mayor, and I know by myself I cannot win, right? Together we serve. That is my slogan. Together we serve. So if you're somebody who, you want to be a part of taking our city back, if you want to be a part of history now, not just talking about historically what happened with our ancestors, but if you want to be a part of now, coming together to make sure that we have collectively what we need to run our city for the best of all constituents and leaders, because we have a lot of leaders, right, who go unmentioned, right? And we can bring these people to the forefront because we need hundreds of people to get this done. And I'm asking you today to please consider it. Please come on board. Be a part of the campaign. Reach out, whether it's through social media, through email. My email is smontague49@gmail. Reach out. Let's work together. Let's formulate alliances that cater to all people of Newark, not just some. Let's not put everything in the hands of parents. Let's provide some resources for parents. Let's provide some outlets, and most of all, let's provide help, legitimate help from the community that is not coming from federally funded organizations that are led by people who have killed police officers in our city. That is the first and best way to prevent a 14-year-old from killing a cop. Kids don't move by what we say, but they watch what we do. and they act accordingly. So let's work together to show them something different. I'm Sheila. I'm running for mayor for 2026. Please join me in this journey and turning our city around. Thank you, and until next time, guys. Peace.